Hey guys, here we go into keys to victory for Guillermo Rigondeaux to beat Lomachenko in their upcoming fight, December 12th, I think. The first key to victory was controlling the space between them. And I want to clarify, I'll clarify this a little bit at the end of the video if I remember. But controlling the distance, like maintaining distance, is not the same as controlling the space between them. It's very different. Um, and I had like a couple questions, a couple comments on that, so I'll talk about it later. But the second key to victory for Guillermo Rigondeaux is to punch in combination. Um, Lomachenko is very good at setting up his punches and picking up like single counters, um, and he's not as able to set his punches up or to counter you, or to time you if you're punching in combination. You know, it kind of, he's so good at picking up on patterns and picking up on rhythms and remembering how you react to certain things so he can set up future punches, that always using the same trick or throwing the same 1-2 really puts you into a bad position. And I'll go ahead and get into the actual film study part of it where I kind of demonstrate my point. Let's see here. Get back to the beginning of this video. So right here, beginning of the round, Gary Russell Jr. was attempting to control him with his lead hand and with his jab. But Lomachenko was easily able to set up a counter for that, right? He's trained this, slipping the jab and throwing a counter left over the top of it many, many, many times. It's not important that it doesn't land, but as you saw in the last video that I showed, that stops Gary Russell Jr. from maintaining and controlling the distance between them and allows Lomachenko to set up his punches. But, however, if Gary Russell Jr. had thrown a right hand after that, he could have very easily caught Lomachenko and walked him into that right hand, simply by punching in combination. Again, here's Lomachenko. He is kind of setting him up for this, but he gets Gary Russell Jr. to throw the jab, and he's able to slip it and catch him with the right hook, because Gary Russell Jr. is throwing only one punch at a time. Here, even though he slips and he tries to catch him with the exact same combination that he threw in round one, or in the previous clip, and he does catch him with it, because Gary Russell Jr. is throwing in combination, he's able to hit him with that left hand, and then hit him with this left hand right after, and come out ahead in that exchange, in spite of the fact that he see the exact same setup right here as in round one, and he's able to land two punches, and they're not great punches, right? You got to get your timing, and you got to get your rhythm, and you got to practice it a couple times on your opponent, before you figure out exactly where their head's going to be. There's a lot that goes into it. But because of the fact that he was able to throw in combination right there, he was able to come out ahead in that exchange. And that's going to be something that's very important, because Lomachenko, like I said, is very good at coming out with figuring out how to beat that one punch, picking up on those rhythms and patterns. And then in this situation, boom, just punching in combination, completely stopping Lomachenko from utilizing this positional advantage that he's attempting to gain on him by throwing punches. He lands that right, he lands that left, and then kind of a grazing right there. But he makes Lomachenko have to reset. And then again, this is another style of it. Lomachenko likes to lead, and by following up on these punches, I think this clip, okay. So, yeah, pressing forward with the lead hand and getting him to turn away from the hook and throwing the right hand or the left hand behind it. It's not clear whether he lands this left hook or not, but because Lomachenko is not expecting it, he has a much higher percentage of landing that shot, because it's in combination. And especially if he hasn't thrown these combinations before, or if Lomachenko's not expecting them, he's going to be less Lomachenko guard. And that's all because he's punching in combination and not allowing Lomachenko to very predictably get away from the single punches. Now, Rigondeaux has shown the capacity to do this, right? Like in this clip right here, he goes for that 1-2 that he's been looking to throw the whole fight. And simply by following it up, he's able to land a huge shot that Dickens is not really prepared to land, or prepared to counter. And again, following up, right, catches him with the 1, but follows up. And that's going to be the stuff that's going to stop Lomachenko from being able to counter him. He's going to need to be very active with his combination punching. I thought I had one more clip to show. I don't know why this one wound up at the end, but here you have it, that same jab that Lomachenko was trying to counter in the first round, where he did counter, he slipped it and threw the left hand over. Simply by throwing in combination right here, Gary Russell Jr. is able to catch Lomachenko with a right hook. And that goes back to this one right here, right? So I think that punching in combination, even though it's not something that that Rigondeaux does a lot of, and I'm missing one of the clips from this video for some reason, I apologize for that. But even though it's not something that Rigondeaux does a lot of, it's going to be very important to keep Lomachenko from taking positional advantages, from countering, and actually being able to capitalize on the feinting and the probing that he does that gets Rigondeaux out of position. You know, a lot of the times when he's able to get Gary Russell out of position, the combination punching, like right there, the combination punching is what allows Gary Russell Jr. to maintain staying in the fight. Now, these first two keys to victory, because Rigondeaux doesn't have like a very active offense, a lot of this, like, so I'll go in more in depth about this one while I play the video. This one is basically to stop Lomachenko's offense, right? We know that Lomachenko is a very offensive fighter. He's aggressive. It's very, very intelligent aggression. But these are going to be some of the ways that he's able to slow down Lomachenko's offense, to maybe keep him in the fight enough to maybe win some rounds, but to also stop him from falling far enough behind that he's getting hit with lots of shots and risks getting stopped because of that, or having the fight stopped because he's taking too much punishment. The first key to victory, now I'm going to go a little bit more in depth about that, the key to victory for controlling the distance. It's not talking about I wish I could bring the video up, but I deleted it from my computer already. But it's not about maintaining the distance, right? It doesn't matter if Lomachenko is close by or if he's fighting you on the outside. Lomachenko is a very good fighter. He can do either one. But it's about controlling that space, right? If your opponent doesn't have any fear of occupying that space in which you're in range to punch him, he's going to be more able to land his punches, right? It's not about making sure there's distance so he's not close enough to land punches, but stopping your opponent from being able to use that space for fear of getting punched if he tries to occupy it, to stop him from setting his punches up. And if you're able to control that distance, you're able to more easily stop them from setting their punches up, and then oftentimes, like in the Andre Ward Sergey Kovalev fight number 1, Kovalev was doing a masterful job at setting his punches up inside that distance, probing and controlling Andre Ward, and then walking him into that big right hand that knocked him down in the second round. I'm talking about all the first round. But after Ward was able to figure out, oh, he's setting his punches up in this space, Ward did it kind of backwards, you know, instead of controlling the distance, right, or setting his punches up, rather than just moving back and not allowing him to set his punches up by diminishing the returns of controlling that space, right? I don't think in any way, shape, or form should he allow Lomachenko to have control of that space, because that's a very dangerous proposition for him, being that he's a natural counterpuncher, and controlling that space allows him to get his opponents out of position to land his punches. And now, with control of that space and stopping your opponent from being able to set up their punches, you're going to be able to control the rhythm of the fight, because your opponent's not going to be punching at you because he's afraid of occupying that space, because he's going to get hit with a punch because you're the one making him react, right? Controlling that space and having control of that space is probably the most important part of all of boxing. And a lot of times when you have fighters that fight each other that don't, when neither one of them looks to control that space, you have crazy, like, wars, you know, like, fucking, what's that fool's name? Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia, right? Either one of those guys could have landed a huge bomb at any point of the fight, right? You never got the sense that either one of them was in control of the fight. You know, whenever Keith Thurman threw a punch, you're like, oh, you know, is Danny Garcia going to land his punch? Oh, is Keith Thurman going to land his punch? You know, whereas when fighters have, like, control of the fight, it often gives the illusion that they're dominating the other person because they're able to shut the other person's offense off, right? And that's exactly what I think Rigondeaux needs to do, is control that space. And if he's able to do that, he might be able to make Vasyl Lomachenko look quite ordinary in a lot of spots. You know, very similar to, like, Canelo versus Triple G. And I guess I should be talking about this in the final video, where I do, like, a final film study and talk about my prediction of the fight. So maybe I'll save a lot of that shit. Yeah, I'm going to save it. I'm going to save it for that. Because this one is only supposed to be keys to victory, you know, punching and combination. So that's exactly what I think that Rigondeaux should do. It's another form of controlling the distance, right? Controlling the space between them by not allowing Lomachenko to utilize the positional advantages that he might gain by getting you out of position by throwing your first punch. Anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Thanks, guys.